Jeff, can you hear me? Now I see Shinui and Jeff. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, I think there was some confusion about the link. I don't know. No, I think I goofed up on the link part. For
Yeah. No.
some for some
Yeah.
reason the Hangouts changed its link. Anyways, I think we should start, and
We can. Yeah.
I won't really take a long session. I have a few things to discuss, and if there are any questions, we can discuss them later. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. Mhm. Okay. Now I believe you're able to see my screen.
Yeah.
So again, this is something which is already available on the net. So this is nothing but a guide from Hootsuite. So they have their own digital marketing products, and I am just sharing a guide that they have shared for their customers. And the idea is to give you a real life example and application of social media marketing and how it is implemented by the different companies, and how the other software companies are making money out of this. So should I start? If
Sure. Sure. Please go
okay,
ahead.
okay. So effectively, what they have done is that they have given 8 steps, an 8-step guide on how to implement social media marketing, and this is much easier and a much more practical way of implementing things. So let's start off, and maybe I should zoom out. Yes, this is better, I believe. So again, smart goals is something that we have discussed in the Udacity theories also. So as you can see that even the real life companies and the companies who earn their bread and butter out of this, even they follow this the same step that we have done in Udacity. So they have started off with smart goals. So again, so whenever you are making strategies, it is very important that we have goals which follow the smart structure. When we talk about smart, I believe you must be remembering it, but let's revise it once more. So when we talk about smart, we are talking about a very specific goal. It should not be vague, basically. A goal which is measurable, and again attainable. It should not be impractical, right? Again, and very relevant to the company, and most important, again, this is something which I believe is most important, is the fact that it should be time bound. See, we can have as many goals as we want, but ultimately they should be achieved in the given time frame. We can't have a target of a 1 billion revenue and have a time frame of say about 100 years. We need to be very time bound, and that is where all the other 4 factors fail. If we are not time bound, the other 4 mean nothing. So again, so they have given an example of a smart goal which basically is talking about the fact that let's grow our Instagram audience by 50 new followers per week. This is a very small example, but again, it is very practical. uh, when we talk about Instagram audience, 50 new followers, it's very specific. The fact that we are measuring it makes it measurable. 50 is the quantity. Attainable is definitely possible, because 50 new followers in Instagram should not be a big problem. And the fact that we have the time frame as 1 week makes it time bound as well. You can interrupt me if in
Oh, no
case.
problems.
in case you have any questions or anything that you want to share. Right. So one thing that they are mentioned, and I really like this part. So basically, what they are saying is that suppose we use Twitter for social media marketing. So Twitter is being used a lot these days. But what they are saying is that we should not have an indirect metric. So they are using the term vanity. But indirect metric is something like retweets on the Twitter platform. So retweets, likes, these are good things, but ultimately it should impact our business. So when we talk about impacting our business, we are talking about leads, we are talking about conversions. So whatever we are measuring, it should make sense to our business. So having 1,000 likes on a post that we have shared on the platform doesn't really make sense, because maybe they like the advertisement that you have on the social media, but that may or may not lead to more number of leads or more number of conversions. So every time that we have this kind of metrics, we should ensure that it is making sense to our business, and is very measurable. Okay. So again, if you see this line, that we should make sure to align your social media goals with your overall marketing strategy, right? So I'm sure you guys know that we can't have a marketing strategy like we should have more number of likes on social media. Our marketing strategy should be to have more number of leads or more number of conversions. So that is the only way where we can have a better marketing ROI. So every time we should make sure that our goals are something which are aligning to our strategy overall. Let's go to step 2 again. So this part is something which I would like to rephrase. So they are talking about the fact that learn everything you can about your audience. Okay. So when we are talking about audience and learning about everything about them, basically they are talking about market research and customer research. So when we are talking about these kind of researches, we should ideally just stick to two types of research, which is qualitative and quantitative. So when we talk about qualitative, it can be in the form of open-ended questions. It can be in some kind of a questionnaires that you can share on the web, or maybe have a direct interaction with some customers. And instead of asking very pointed questions, you can just talk to them and see what they are feeling about your product, or what inputs they are giving you. The other way to do is to have a very quantitative way of asking questions. For example, on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with the product? On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to suggest our product to someone else? On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to come back to us? Guys, just give me a second, okay? Yeah, so I'm back. Uh, Good to see you. You had a wedding to attend, okay?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know most of the people there. I mean, I haven't been around for like a long time. So
That's nice. That's nice. It's always good. Okay. So if you are okay with it, we can start again.
that's
Okay. So as I was saying, that learn everything you can about your audience is this looks pretty vague to me. Again, so when we are talking about the fact that we should learn about our audience, we should talk about in very concrete terms. We should talk about quantitative research and qualitative research. Qualitative research, as I said, it can be in form of questionnaires and everything, but if we have very pointed questions like if we are measuring something about the customer satisfaction or the likelihood of them returning to our company, so that is something we should for which we should adopt a basically quantitative service. Okay, and based on that, as you can see, so they are also creating audience personas. Okay, this is nothing but the target persona that we were creating for the Udacity projects. I'm sure you remember it, right? So it's effectively it's measuring things like demographics, buying motivations, common buying objections, emotional leads. So if you so these are basically synonyms for the same things that we were doing for our target personas. So you can draw a parallel between the process that we had in the Udacity projects and something which Hootsuite is also following. So it's very identical. So in case you plan to make a career in this field, you can see that it's kind of a generalized process that everyone is following. So it's
yeah.
good that we are following the Udacity curriculum here. Now again, it is talking about the fact that gather real world data. So that this is something I've already covered, right, in the quantitative service part. So they are saying that social media analytics can also provide a ton of valuable information about who you our followers are and all those things. You can measure their demographics, you can see the age groups they have, uh, the geographies they belong to, so on and so forth. So it's important to gather this kind of quantitative research. Now step 3. So I'm not sure, see, I passed out of this digital marketing nano degree about 1.5 years back. So they are talking about researching the competition. So this is where you can guide me. So do you in the current project that you completed, I don't remember myself doing any competitive research. Did you guys do anything like that?
I've only completed up to project 2, so
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Okay, and Shinui, do you think we have done any competitive analysis in the project? I don't remember doing it. Nope. Okay, yeah, even I. So this is an additional thing that they are doing in Hootsuite. So basically what they are doing is that if suppose you are doing a project for e-commerce company, so what we should do is that we should do an analysis for the entire e-commerce landscape in whatever country you are doing the research for. So basically with this process you can draw benchmarks and see what is the best metric and how the other competitors are performing. So it basically shows you the mirror in putting it crudely. So this is important. Doing competitive analysis is something that you should always do in case you are doing some kind of a real world project for some company. So doing competitive analysis is very important. The fact that they are talking about engage in social listening, so this is nothing but a fancy term for being proactive. So when we are analyzing anything basically, so effectively what we should do is to keep an eye on any small shifts that are happening in the consumer behavior and that is where your learning comes in. Okay, so that's pretty much about it for social listening. uh, Now, step 4 is conducting a social media audit. Now, the fact, I don't think, Jeff, you would have done that project. There is a project on SEO audit also,
No,
right?
I don't think I'm there yet.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know, and that is fine. Anyways, you were not supposed to do that right now. Uh, but I know that for sure that Shinui has done a project on SEO audits where we are basically analyzing the search engine performance uh, of our company or whatever product or whatever website we have. Now, something similar is being proposed here for social media also. Okay, so when we are talking about audits, audit is nothing but just analyzing everything and ensuring that we get to the bottom of everything. So basically, what they are measuring is, okay, what kind of posts are working, what posts are not working, what kind of people are connecting with you, which social media channels are performing better, how are you doing in terms of competition. So this looks very simple when I say that, okay, let's do a social media audit, but it is very important to follow this kind of a structure on analyzing everything step by step. And only when we have analyzed everything, that is when we should create our strategies on what is the best way to gather more leads or get more conversions. So that is something that we should always do. So always make it a point to analyze yourself first. So this goes for social media, this goes for search engine. So whenever we are talking about anything related to digital landscape, we need to analyze our performance first and then the competitors, and then that is where you will find the gaps. You will find the metrics on which you will be performing better than your competition. But the more important thing is to pursue excellence in fields where the your competition is performing better than you. So this can only happen if you do two kinds of analysis. One is your own performance, and the other is the competitive landscape. Then there are some things like look for imposter accounts. So it has become a practice, especially for the content management companies, where if you have one company which is doing well on maybe say Facebook, uh, so you can have companies with similar names cropping up just to get a certain proportion of the traffic that the other companies are getting. So this is something which happens very regularly. So if you analyze yourself and your competitive landscape, you should be able to find such imposter accounts. And most of the social media channels allow you to report such kind of accounts and deactivate them in due course of time. So in case you find any such accounts when you are working in future, you should always report them. Now, step 5 should be, and definitely is the most important step. Okay. So when we talk about step 5, we are basically analyzing the social media channels and seeing which is making sense for our product. Okay. So I would jump straight to the paragraph where it is analyzing Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, everything. Okay. So let's start off with Facebook. So it talks about the fact that Facebook is the best for acquiring new customers via paid advertising. Okay. So if your intention is to acquire more customers or acquire more leads, and if you have a certain marketing budget, then Facebook is your channel for sure. Instagram is something which it says is helping you build brand affinity with the existing customers. So effectively, what this is saying is that Instagram might not be the best channel to acquire new customers, but if you have a certain number of customers who are loyal to you, you for customer retention, Instagram might be the best option for you. And now the fact that Instagram is linked with Facebook as well, this should increase the customer stickiness. So you acquire customers through Facebook, and you retain them through Instagram. So they are kind of linked, if you can see. Now let's go to Twitter. So Twitter is something which is basically being used for two things. One is to give your own official statements. It is talking about engaging with press, but effectively it is being used to release official statements. The other is to influence a certain crowd who are following some kind of famous personalities or influencers in that field. So for example, if you are maybe you are an Avengers fan. So Avengers has released a couple of days back, I believe, and it's doing well. So maybe you are an Iron Man fan also, and you might be interested to see what Robert Downey Jr. is wearing, or which brands he's uh, advertising for, or what causes he cares for. So if Robert Downey Jr. writes anything on Twitter, it might influence you in a certain way. So Twitter is definitely used in for those kind of things. LinkedIn is something which companies engage with the existing employees, and again you can post your jobs and everything. So it has a very direct use case. So you can't really use it much for getting new customers, but maybe you can use it for connecting with prospective sales clients or something like that. But again, uh, it makes more sense for us to use LinkedIn for existing employees and attracting new talent. Now let's go to YouTube. Now this is something which I disagree on, to be honest. So when we talk about YouTube, it is talking about the fact that it is saying that you can support existing customers with education and video help content. This is absolutely true. Having said that, now the fact that videos are penetrating everywhere in terms of advertising, so videos is definitely one of the most followed channel to get more customers. So if you use YouTube in your uh, geographies wherever you are based out of, you will see that the content that you are getting before a video starts is very localized. It definitely has some kind of an appeal, and you will definitely be influenced in a certain way. So you we can't really count out YouTube to get new customers. So YouTube can definitely be used. And then it talks about Snapchat. So again, Snapchat has a very young crowd, and only if your target customer is a younger consumer, so only then it might make sense. Otherwise, Snapchat, if your targeting customer is above 40 years of age, it might not make sense as of today. Then step 6, it is talking about finding inspiration. Okay, so when we are talking about finding inspiration, we are effectively talking about analyzing the success stories, and seeing what worked for them, how they were different, how they were similar to us, how they were different to us, and see if something of that sort can be implemented by us also. Now, how is this step different from analyzing the competitive landscape? So when we are talking about competitive landscape, we are talking about the companies who work in the same industry as us. Okay. But when we are talking about inspiration and gathering information from other success stories, we are effectively industry neutral. So it might not even be from our own industry or our own country, but if there is something which has worked somewhere or in some other industry, we should definitely analyze it and see if something similar can be implemented for our own company also. Now step 7, it is talking about creating a social media content calendar. So effectively, the root of this step is in the project management field. So what they are doing is that when we talk about social media marketing or any other digital marketing campaign, we are talking about the creative stuff generally. Having said that, it is very important to have some kind of a systematic approach to to advertise or to project our brand. Now, to how to do that, it is very important that we have a project plan for the next 7 days at least. Ideally, it is done for over a month and analyzed every week. So this is something you will also see in the email marketing project, where it will ask you to create a calendar for the emails. So you will learn more on that. I won't give you any spoilers, but the idea is to have a systematic approach. Let's so we should not really get carried away with the creative part of this field. We need to be very systematic on this. And the last is testing, evaluating, and adjusting your strategy. Again, this is a very, very intuitive step. So whatever we are doing, we need to have a certain days of the month where the only job we are doing is to evaluating what has gone right and what has gone wrong, and adjusting our strategy for the next month or maybe a quarter. The best way to do is, maybe if we need to try something new, we should take it as an iterative process and adopt the principle of A/B testing, where effectively what we are doing is that maybe we should change one parameter and see how that impacts our performance for the next month. So A/B testing should be the best way to adjust our strategy, and that is where the performance improvement comes from. A/B testing, I'm sure, is being taught in the Udacity curriculum. It was definitely there during my time. Now, again, it's basically talking about some kind of a template that they have built as a company. So it might not make sense for you right now. I'll share this PDF with you in the group itself. Maybe later you can have a look. Um but effectively, the idea behind sharing this was not to give you new theories to learn, and it was definitely not something which you need to remember for the rest of your life. But the idea is to give you some kind of a real world application and to show that everything and anything that you're learning in Udacity is being implemented in real life terms also, and companies which are really profitable. So make sure that whatever you are doing right now is something you take seriously, and make sure that you save all the templates of the projects that you have submitted. Okay, so you will see that it will help you in the longer term when you are doing something similar. If you follow a certain structure of projects, it will help you. Surely it will help you. Other than that, I don't have much to share right now. I don't want to take the entire hour and bore you to death. If there are any questions, let me know. Else we can close it. It's up to you. If any questions, you can ask right now.
I think we're done here. I mean, you will share the PDF, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'll share it in the group.
Thank you.
Shinoi, anything from your side, or we are good? All right. Shinoi says nope. Okay. So, okay. Thank you guys for joining. I'll
Bye.
share the PDF and also the recorded version of this video later in the day.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, I'll just share the PDF. Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.